Have you ever wondered why everything feels silent right when your world is falling apart? There are days when breathing feels heavy, like the air itself is waiting for something to change. You try to pray, but your words seem to dissolve into the quiet, unanswered. Maybe you know that kind of silence, the kind that isn't peaceful but thick with questions. It settles deep in your chest, heavier than tiredness, quieter than sleep. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your heartbeat. Notice how each breath carries a weight you can't quite name. You wait, you hope, and still nothing stirs. Maybe you're exhausted from carrying the same prayers, the same hopes, the same fears, waiting for a sign, a whisper, anything. It's as if you're standing at the edge of something invisible, wondering if anyone notices you're about to let go. But you hold on, not because it's easy, but because something inside you refuses to give up, even when it hurts. There's a strange comfort in the quiet, even if it feels like absence. Maybe you're not alone in this waiting. Maybe there's more to this silence than you think. What if, just beyond what you can see or feel, something is happening? What if this quiet isn't emptiness, but preparation? There are days when the weight you carry feels impossible to name, let alone explain. How long has it been since you admitted, even to yourself, that you're tired in ways rest can't touch? Maybe you've grown skilled at hiding the ache, not just from others, but from your own heart, pressing forward, smiling, insisting you're fine, while something silent and heavy settles deeper each day. Have you ever wondered if your quiet struggles mean you're failing? The guilt that whispers you should be stronger, more grateful, more trusting. Does it echo in your mind at night? You tell yourself it shouldn't be this hard, that faith shouldn't feel so fragile. Still, the questions linger and the silence inside you grows. Sometimes, even the bravest hearts falter. Even those who once stood certain find themselves lost in shadow, wondering if hope is really meant for them. There's no shame in this wrestling, no weakness in admitting that you're worn down. The soul can become tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of believing that tomorrow will look any different. Perhaps you've learned to carry your disappointments quietly, to hide your longing for answers beneath layers of busy days and half-finished prayers. Maybe you wonder if anyone else feels this same ache, this unspoken exhaustion. The fear of not being enough, of not doing enough, can be suffocating. How often have you felt ashamed for not getting it together, for not being able to pray away the emptiness? It's not easy to sit with questions that have no answers. It's hard to admit you're still searching, still aching, still wondering why rest feels so far away. But right here, in the quiet place where your struggle lives, there's no judgment. Only the honest truth of what it means to be human, longing for relief, carrying hope and doubt in the same trembling hands. Sometimes, hope is less like a sunrise and more like the whisper of dawn, barely coloring the edge of the night. There are moments when nothing changes on the outside, but inside, something unfamiliar stirs, like a seed splitting open in the dark, unseen, pushing quietly through the soil. You wait and wait, certain the ground is barren, but beneath the silence, life is working in secret. Perhaps the silence isn't emptiness after all. Maybe it's a womb, quiet but not lifeless, holding the ache and the possibility together. Maybe what feels like absence is only the soft, slow knitting of something new, something not yet ready to meet the light. You remember how, in weariness too deep for words, a gentle comfort once brushed over your heart, softer than any hand. You didn't know where it came from or how it arrived, only that it eased the weight, if only for a breath. Or the morning you stood up when you were sure you couldn't. No explanation, just a strength that wasn't yours, as if your feet remembered the way before your mind did. A breeze sometimes moves through a heavy afternoon, so subtle you almost miss it, but it carries the promise of rain. It doesn't quench your thirst, not yet, but it reminds you that rain is possible. That's how hope feels now, not loud, not certain, but present all the same. Like the hush before the first drop, or the faint scent of earth waking up after long drought. You find yourself listening differently, noticing how even the longest night is never all darkness. There are always softer shades, a quiet pulse of life you didn't expect. Maybe you can rest here, just for a moment, letting the silence be a shelter, not a sentence. Maybe, beneath everything, something good is growing where you cannot see. God, teach me to rest while you work. Maybe this is not abandonment. Maybe this is the silence of a God who is still present. Maybe there is something being formed in the quiet, something not yet visible but already alive. The ache of unanswered prayers, the weight of fatigue, the suffocating fear of not being enough. They all seemed like endings. But what if what seemed like an ending is actually a wound? What if the hush is not absence, but the soft cover of care? Inside, it sometimes feels like I'm motionless, caught in a long pause. But perhaps I'm being gestated from within, a seed deep in the earth, held by darkness, slowly waking to the possibility of life. The restlessness, the longing, the whispers of hope that flicker and fade, all of them find a place in this hidden season. There are moments, brief and quiet, when the air shifts and comfort stirs, almost imperceptible but enough to breathe again. Maybe what I called silence is actually a presence too gentle to startle, too patient to rush. Maybe these days of uncertainty are not wasted, but woven into something I cannot see, something that needs this stillness, this waiting, this surrender. The seed does not grow because it strives, but because it yields to the darkness and lets the unseen work be done. It is possible that what I am living is not a pause, but a preparation. That what I carry is not emptiness, but expectation. The struggle, the darkness, the longing, all might be signs that something sacred is at work below the surface. Maybe the silence is not the absence of answers, but the space where new things are being whispered into being. So I breathe, and I rest, and I begin to trust that even in this quiet, something good is growing. Maybe right now you feel a small relief, like a gentle breath you didn't know you were holding. Or maybe a tear has finally found its way, quietly, after so much silence. If something in these words touched a place in you that you can't quite explain, that's already a sign of faith. Faith isn't always loud or certain. Sometimes it's just the willingness to keep listening, even when you don't understand everything. It's okay if you're still tired, or if hope feels like a fragile thing in your hands. Trust that this is part of the journey, and what you feel is not a mistake. If your heart whispered yes to anything you've heard, let that be your response. Maybe you want to type a simple amen, or just press your hand to your heart for a moment, as if to say, yes, I'm still here. I'm still hoping. You're not alone in this. There are others listening quietly in their own dark nights, holding their own silent prayers, wondering if anyone else feels the same ache and longing. Though you may never meet them, you are part of something shared, a silent community of waiting and becoming. Let these quiet moments around you. Allow yourself to rest, even if only for a breath. There's a sacredness in this pause, a gentle preparation for something more. Soon, the one who has been working in hiddenness will step into the light, and you will see that every silent hope, every unseen tear was never wasted. For now, just rest in the promise that something holy is being prepared, even if you cannot name it yet. Maybe now, as you look back, you sense it. God was never far. Even when you stopped praying, even when words failed and hope faded, he remained, not watching from a distance, but quietly present in each long night, each silent tear. Jesus never came for the unbreakable. He came for hearts like yours, tired and honest, searching for rest. There was never a moment you needed to prove yourself, never a day when your doubts or exhaustion made you less worthy of love. God didn't measure your faith by your strength or your ability to keep going. Even in your silence, even when you thought you had nothing left to offer, he stayed. He carried you through invisible ways, holding you close when you felt most alone. The pressure to perform, to pray perfectly, to always feel strong, it was never his requirement. What matters is not how loud you believe, but that you remained, even if all you had was a whisper or a sigh. You have never been abandoned. The sacred found you in stillness, in questions, in the slow work of becoming whole again. Maybe, just maybe, you can let go of the fear that you've lost your place. The bond was never broken. The promise was never withdrawn. What you long for, that gentle certainty, has always been offered to you. Not because you earned it, but because you are loved. Feel the quiet restoration that comes when you realize you don't have to strive or convince. Rest is holy, and God delights in giving it to those who need it most. And perhaps, all along, He has been speaking, softly, faithfully, in ways that reach beyond time. Let your heart open, just a little, to the possibility that the words you need are already waiting, ready to meet you where you are. Maybe you never realized it, but what you've just been through already has a name in the scriptures. This silent place of waiting, this fragile hope that seems to flicker right when you feel most tired. It's all seen and known. There's a verse that almost feels like it was written for this very moment, when you're too worn out to keep trying and too honest to pretend. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11, verse 28. These aren't instructions or conditions. They're an invitation, spoken gently into the places where your heart aches and your body feels heavy. This isn't just an old promise hidden on thin paper. It's a voice that finds you in your exhaustion and sits beside you, asking nothing but your presence. You don't have to be strong enough to fix yourself. You don't have to be brave enough to impress anyone. This word reaches you in the waiting, in the not knowing, in the breath that trembles before it becomes prayer. It sees the real you, tired, unfinished, sometimes doubting, and still calls you to rest. Let it be a whisper that wraps around your silence. Let it settle into your bones and remind you. You're not forgotten in the waiting, not invisible in your weakness. This rest is not a reward for the strong, but a gift for the weary. You don't have to prove anything. You only have to come exactly as you are and let yourself be held. Even now, right now, these words move toward you. Rest is not far. Rest is here. Perhaps today, your prayer is simply to remain standing. Maybe faith right now is just a quiet sigh, a breath that carries hope without needing to shout or prove anything. The everyday rhythm goes on, dishes in the sink, the hum of the city outside, your own tired body moving through familiar rooms. And yet, in this ordinary silence, the seed of the word is alive, growing in the dark while you do nothing but breathe. You don't have to run. You don't have to feel strong or perform acts that make your faith visible to anyone else. Faith can be as gentle as a pause before the next step, as small as the thought, I'm still here. Sometimes spiritual life is just the courage to stay quietly with all that you are carrying, trusting that God is working while you wait. The way forward might not be out there for everyone to see. The journey, for now, could be unfolding inside, where only you and God can notice the subtle movement. To remain, to be present, to let your spirit rest, that is also faith. The silence of your routine is not empty. It is filled with the care that holds you even when nothing seems to change. This moment, in its simplicity, is not less spiritual. It is holy ground, the place where you are met exactly as you are. No one sees the roots breaking through the darkness under the soil, but that is where new life begins. Your prayer might be as quiet as your breathing. Your hope is fragile as a single heartbeat. Yet all of it is received, cherished, and enough. So let the day unfold gently. Let your faith be light, almost invisible, but still real. The invitation is not to do, but simply to be, to remain, to let the seed grow, to trust that what is hidden will one day come to light. The journey has already begun, and you are not alone on the way. God, I don't even know if I have the right words now, but you've always known every piece of me, especially the parts one hide, the tiredness I carry, the doubts I don't say out loud. Sometimes I think my faith should be louder or my prayers more certain, but here I am, quiet, unsure, and still yours. I don't want to pretend strength I don't have. I don't want to perform for you. or for anyone else. I just want to rest in you, even if it means sitting in silence, listening for a heartbeat in the dark. You know how long I've waited, how many times I've wondered if my prayers disappeared into the void. Yet somehow, in the pause, in the valley, in this slow-growing seed hidden in the earth, you have been here. Thank you for not turning away from my fragility, for not demanding that I be more than I am. Thank you for holding me even when I wanted to let go, for working in the unseen soil of my life while I was too tired to hope for fruit. Teach me what it means to trust without always feeling it, to surrender without needing to understand. Let me find you in what is small and ordinary. The breath I take, the sunrise I almost don't notice, the quiet spaces where I am most myself. I am learning to belong here, in the waiting, in the womb of your presence, where new life is formed in secret. I offer you what I have, unfinished and imperfect. I let go of the need to prove, to strive, to always have an answer. You are enough, even when I am not. Thank you for loving me through the silence, for staying when I was ready to walk away. Hold me as I learn to rest while you work, until I see the green shoot breaking through the ground. Hope, alive again, because you never stopped working in the dark. Even when you can't see or feel it, God is still here. His presence remains quietly beside you, just as it always has. If today all you could do was breathe, know that every breath is enough. This too is a prayer. You don't have to perform or prove yourself to belong here. In this gentle space, your soul can rest, and your imperfections are welcomed. The seed planted in your heart today will grow, not by your own strength, but in God's perfect time and care. Rest in that promise, and let hope take root quietly within you. If these words found a home in your journey, I invite you to comment, Amen. Let your silent faith be seen by liking this message, or share it with someone who might need a gentle reminder that they are not alone in their waiting. You are part of a living, breathing community, a safe place where you can return whenever you need to rest, to breathe, or simply to remember that you're deeply loved. This journey is not over, and you are not walking alone. Whenever you feel weary, know that this space will be here, a place for your questions, your silence, and your hope. If you wish to keep walking with us, you're always welcome. This is your space, too.